Today we're going to talk about meeting with an Army recruiter for the first time, but without further ado, let's get to it. What is up, guys? Ben Allen back again with another video, and like I just said, we're going to be talking about meeting with an Army recruiter for the first time. You know, the whole, like, from the first time you walk in there, you know, the conversations you're going to be having, the questions you should be asking, all that fun stuff, right? Some of the biggest questions you should be asking me towards the end of this video, so be sure to stick around and, you know, wait for those. But for those of you that don't know me, I did 4 years active duty in the Army. I got out in 2019, then I switched to the reserves. Been in the reserves for about a year and a half now. If you have any questions whatsoever, follow me on Instagram. It's at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to get a hold of me. Be sure to like this video, give it a big old thumbs up, and most importantly, subscribe, guys. It takes 2 seconds to hit the button because we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers in 6 months. I need your all's help, so thank you in advance for that. But jumping straight into the topic, guys, right? So meeting with a recruiter, this is probably the biggest step, right, to even get started to joining the Army, right? I recommend what you should do is, you know, first find a recruiting station. How do you do that? You can either like ask people, or better yet, just go to Google, type in recruiting stations near me. That's how you find one. Some will probably be like 15-20 minutes away from you, at most maybe like 40 minutes to an hour. I promise you, bro, I see those stations like everywhere, right? Every strip mall you could think of, like, there's probably like an Army recruiting station, right? So good, you found a recruiting station now, right? So what you want to do is, I don't recommend just walking in there. I recommend, you know, calling the recruiting station first and setting up an appointment. And I say this because typically, you know, you can walk in there, but they might be busy with other potential candidates to join the Army, right? So you're gonna be waiting around, and you don't want to wait around, right? Time is important, time is valuable, time is money. So call, make an appointment, and, you know, they might ask you your name and your number and all that stuff. Cool. And then you're actually going to get to the recruiting station, right? It's your appointment time, all that stuff, right? So this is your first sit down with the recruiter, right? Start getting a good feel for the vibes, right? Like, hey, does this guy look shady? Does he not? Like, can I trust this guy? Because it's very, very important to have trust with your recruiter, because this is the person that's probably going to change your life, right? They're either going to get you something really, really good, put you in the Army, and you're going to love it, or they're going to get you something really, really bad, put you in the Army, and you're going to hate it. I do recommend preparing some questions to ask your recruiter, very basic questions, right? Like, what jobs are available right now? Like, hey, what can you tell me about this job? What are the requirements? You know, like, what's the promotion rate, right? What are there bonuses available for these specific jobs? If so, are there any enlistment bonuses right now? What kind of benefits do I get, you know, becoming a U.S. soldier? What benefits do I get after my time in service, right? Just all of these things, right, guys? I do also recommend that you bring either, depending on your age, right? If you know you're fresh out of high school, you're like 17, 18, bring a parent for sure. And if, you know, you've lived some life, you know, you're like in your 20s, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, whatever, even though you're still like an adult, right? But I do recommend bringing a friend that's served, maybe, you know, find a prior military person, take them with you. That way they can like suss out the bullshit these recruiters might be telling you. Like I did that with one of my friends, and these recruiters are being pretty straightforward. They weren't like sugarcoating anything. They weren't lying, because, you know, recruiters lie sometimes, right? That's a thing. And they're pretty straightforward. So that's not the case all the time, right? If you go in there, like, you know, by yourself, it's like when you go to a car dealership, bro. If you're by yourself, you don't know too much about cars, they're trying to get you. They're trying to put you in a brand new 2042 Chevy Silver. I don't know, bro. You know what I mean? Like, all these different things. So you definitely want somebody there that has some life experience, whether it's a parent, you know, a guardian, you know, a prior service soldier, a veteran, whatever it may be. That way they can help you out. So next up, do not sign anything at the recruiting station yet. Like, if you do, make sure you read everything, right? But once you do all that, you're gonna actually get into the nitty-gritty of the conversation, right? They're gonna ask you like very basic questions, like what's your name, your age, where are you from, and then they're gonna get into like medical history history, you know, background information, like, hey, like, do you have any medical conditions that could possibly disqualify you? I recommend be 100% honest with your recruiter. They will try to help you out as much as you can. As they can, right? They're gonna ask you, hey, have you done any drugs, you know, in the past, like, however many days? Be honest. Do you have any, like, background, like, felonies? Were you ever convicted for a crime, right? Because all these things could come back and bite you in the ass, like, once you go to Meps and they show up somehow, and they're like, well, you didn't tell that to your recruiter, right? Or if they ask you something that you didn't tell your recruiter, and then, you know, it's gonna go back to them. You don't want that to happen. So I recommend being 100% honest during these, like, background questions. Once you get past the background questions is when you can, like, actually start to, like, ask them, like, hey, what's the Army like? What can I expect? How do you like the Army? That's a big thing. I do recommend asking them their experience. Like, hey, be 100% honest with me. Like, how was your experience in the Army? Like, did you enjoy it? What's something you hate the most about the Army? What's something you would change about the Army, right? Ask them these questions, see what they say. If they're saying nothing but positive things, guys, chances are they're not being 100% truthful with you, because while I did personally enjoy the Army, I loved it, there was definitely things that I hated about it and would definitely change for sure. So keep that in mind. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? Hitting on trust, right? You want to make sure you can trust your recruiter. If they start doing a few things, right, like ghosting you, or maybe not giving you full information, or like beating around questions that you may have, right, like beating around the bush, it might be a sign to find a different recruiter. Find a recruiter that's going to be able to help you through this process and answer every single one of the questions you have. You may be asking, like, oh, well, how do I know what questions to ask? This is real good, because you want to do your research before you even go to the recruiting station, guys. If you have a sliver of a thought in your head of just joining the military, you definitely want to have these questions written down. You want to look up, like, hey, what am I interested in? Well, you know, I've done like a bunch of like medical courses in high school. I'm interested in like something medical, right? Cool. So start looking into medical jobs, anything like 68, really. Do the research, look how long the trainings are, look what ASVAB scores you need, and then you can build your questions off of that. You can ask the recruiter, hey, is this job available right now? Are there any bonuses for this? As well as, like, hey, like, can I get airborne in my contract? Can I get ranger in my contract? Ask them all of these questions, guys. But again, this is the first meeting, so you might not get into all of that just yet, right? Because if you've never taken the ASVAB or the PCAT, you're going to have to do that. They'll probably like set you up with a practice test, like right then and there. They did that with my brother when he initially went. They'll take you to the back, they'll have you do the practice ASVAB or the practice PCAT. They'll see your score and they can like gauge what you would get on the actual ASVAB. And if everything goes well during this first meeting, guys, they'll set you up with the Meps date. So you'll go to Meps. This is where like the military entrance processing station, right? And you'll take the actual like ASVAB or PCAT there. I think it's just the ASVAB there. It's like a 3-hour test. I have an ASVAB study guide video if you want to check it out. It's pinned on my homepage on YouTube. And you'll take the ASVAB. Once you take the ASVAB, you know, you'll see what scores you get. They'll tell you if you pass, fail, whatever. If you pass, they'll tell you your score and, you know, what jobs you qualify for. And then you can pick one. You might have a little trouble picking one because you might not have done research. So do your research. That way you know what the jobs that are available for. If the job you want is not available, I recommend do not pick something that you're going to end up hating later on in life in your military career. And if you're and say you go to Meps, right, you just don't pick anything because you're not comfortable with it, and you come back and your recruiter starts acting like, you know, real sussy. He's like, starts ghosting you because he's like pissed that you didn't get put in the Army, he didn't make his number. Dude, then fuck him, you know, drop him, go find a different recruiter. Find somebody that's going to help you out, somebody that's going to actually be worth a damn and work with you, right? Because you see it time and time and again, you have recruiters that like to do the bare minimum. They just want the easy ends, right? They want to grab somebody, put them in the Army like the next day, right? It's not that fast of a process, but they want to do that, right? They want the cut and dry, clean and simple, like nothing wrong with this person, let's put them in. But then you have recruiters that are willing to work with individuals that might have certain issues, right? Maybe you need a medical waiver, you need a morale waiver or something. You need some sort of waiver, right? Or you just there's like little hiccups here and there that have to be worked through, and there's recruiters that will work through that entire process even though they don't really benefit or gain anything, and they could be working on somebody that's super simple to put in, right? So look for those recruiters, guys. Other than that, that's pretty much the video. Those are like some of the big things you should look out for. I highly recommend you guys do your research and build a list of questions to ask these recruiters. It'll help out your process even more. If you have any questions whatsoever, or if you feel like I missed something in this video, let me know down in the comments section below, or hit me up on Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to get a hold of me, guys. I'll answer all your questions. I try to get back to everybody within a week. Be sure to like this video if you took anything away, and most importantly, subscribe, guys. It really helps us out. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube in the next 6 months. I need your all's help. It takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. I post content at least 2 to 3 times a week, so stay tuned to that. You'll definitely be getting something out of this channel if you're new here and not subscribed already. But thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.